5.
Woo, oh my goodness, look at us.
Let's do a podcast. What do you
All
say?
right, let's do a podcast. All right,
Woo! You're
ladies and
driving.
gentlemen.
You drive. You
All right,
drive.
I'll drive.
You
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the
one
podcast.
more time. Start it
Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Pop Goes the Culture podcast for the weekend of Friday, February 7th. Of course, I'm just one of your hosts, Zach Wilson, alongside the man himself, Joey.
again.
Joey, how we doing?
I am here. I
Okay,
am.
it's been a couple weeks.
It has been a couple of weeks. We took a little bit of a break, mostly for it was unexpected, not planned, but the first of the year I was told, hey, you need to use a CPAP because you have this terrible sleep apnea. And I was like, all right, let's try it. And after 3 weeks of not sleeping and then sending the CPAP back, yeah, I was just kind of moving in a daze. So not the best conditions to record a podcast in.
I mean, it was. I appreciated it only
And we
because
and it snowed on us
well,
too.
and well, it did snow as well, but I also appreciated it because it gave me a hands-on look on how interacting with a zombie.
hmm
Yeah. So without the fear of getting my head
Although I can't guarantee that wouldn't have happened. I
at
was
that
out of
point.
it. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, I mean, it's good to be back,
Yeah.
but alongside this hiatus, you
hmm
were also at Little Rock Anime.
Yes, last weekend at Little Rock Anime Fest, had a good time. Actually got some audio of
Hey,
that at the end of the podcast for those who are listening to the podcast. Also, I guess we should say we're testing our live stream also right now as we're recording. So if that works, then we'll start live streaming video and audio, and then also throwing out the audio podcast with some bonus content every
oh
week on
boy,
that. So,
getting dangerously close to looking like we know what we're doing.
well, don't. We'll see how this goes. Prepping conventions, I've got so not counting this weekend, 5 shows in the next 6 weeks that I've got. So yeah, it's a whirlwind. We've got a big one next weekend, both of us. Missouri Comic Con
Woo!
here in Springfield, Missouri.
Just when you think it doesn't get any better, yes,
I know
stacked show.
it is, and I wish that I almost at this point wish we'd stop adding people
Just hit a pause.
because we've got to start prepping. We've started. We've got to continue prepping and finish our prep.
Well, just yeah, just when we finish the list, all of a sudden, oh, there's another one. I was like, okay,
Cool.
guess we
Where's
get to
that
do
gonna
more
go now?
research. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Also, where are we gonna fit in that?
Yeah. So what's gonna have to change to get that guest in? But I did. So I had already scheduled this after the show in Carolina that didn't happen because of the snow. It didn't happen for me. It happened. The show happened. I got snowed out. But I started scheduling a post-convention massage just because there is travel involved in all of
Jeez.
these. Whether you're driving anywhere from 3 to 8 hours or flying, it's a longer convention. Yeah, you just feel like crap afterward, just stiff, sore, just achy, just
Oh,
you know.
like definitely you got steps in, so I appreciate that.
Oh, you don't have to worry about getting steps. Yeah,
Well,
that
well,
that always that happens.
but the post con crud we're so
And not
famous for.
and not even the crud so much, just that general like if you drive anywhere for that length of time, or if you have to fly in an airplane, feel stiff or whatever.
Yeah.
So I've added the post con massage. So I did it after what I should have been in Carolina, but I got the first one out of the way. I'm like, I'm just gonna go knock this thing out. Yeah. So then I did one this week after Little Rock Anime Fest, and yeah, I'm looking forward to the next one
Did
in
you
about
feel
a week and a half.
ethereal, like all the problems in the world was off your shoulders for a brief
No, I
moment?
felt like, oh, I could fall asleep here, except for this person feeding me. But yeah, so I've added that. Just kind of in between stuff right now as far as video games, TV, and movies, and books, and comics. I'm just kind of in that weird spot of like I don't really want to start anything because again, 5 conventions in 6 weeks is a lot of time I've got
That
to
comes
spend
at you fast.
prepping. But at the same time, it's like, oh, there's nothing new to watch or play or read or do right now. So I don't know. It's a weird like at the end of the
Limbo
day when you're
almost.
like, cool, now what I'm going to do? Like, well, I don't want to start something that I'm not going to be able to get back to. But yeah, so I don't know. Maybe I should just watch some movies, like
Hey,
get an hour and a half of something not connected to anything else in the world and just watch a movie. But I don't know. We'll see.
have a little joke.
That's right. Maybe so. Maybe go back and get another massage. I don't know. What have you been up to?
So I'll get to one thing in a minute, but
Okay.
a lot largely the same thing you are prepping for shows. Uh, coming up, sorry, Comic Con gonna be the
hmm
first show for me for the year,
Yeah.
and then not quite as bad as you, but do have quite a few shows coming up.
Yeah.
3 in the next month or so. So a lot of prep work with that. Very excited about it. I know a lot of times we not necessarily complain, but express how it can be a lot.
Yeah.
But feel very grateful, very fortunate. Love doing what I've always wanted to do since I was a kid. Blah blah blah. However,
Yes. However,
how I am doing in one word, conflict,
okay. Over.
because of two conflicting things that are battling.
Okay.
The first of which, the negative of the two,
Okay.
is I feel like I have developed an addiction.
Two.
Uh, Facebook Reels.
Oh.
So kind of the TikTok, Instagram, Facebook Reels, they all to me they're all the same.
Yeah.
It has got to a point where a lot of people in my age demographic have gravitated toward this sort of media. And at first, hey, like you get to
Okay.
meet or you get to learn so many different stories, so many different memes all at once, in like very quick 5 to 7 second increments. It's great. Still, this for our audience might be aware of the brain rot. So
Okay.
I thought this was more just like a fun little silly gag. Up until recently, two things happened. For one, I was just watching them on my couch and not really paying attention to what I was doing, and suddenly something wet fell on my that was
What kind of videos you watching there, bud?
it just funny enough, it was just a review about a video game. It's like 10 seconds long. It was a drop of drool. I was watching these
Listen,
reels.
I've been not sleeping and I have not drooled. So if you're drooling,
It was just me watching these reels slack jawed. I had my mouth open and just all my other facilities were on autopilot. So that was jarring moment number one. The other one though is one night, relatively recently, I had like 19 different streams that were playing back and forth, very much like a TikTok reel. Like one dream lasted maybe 10 minutes. I was. Have you ever played Legend of Zelda: Wind Waker?
mhm,
So I was trapped on one of those towers in the sea, and like sharks were all around, and I was just hanging out in the goblin. Then the next one goes around, and I'm flying like I'm Superman. And then the next one goes around, and it's very realistic. I'm making a cake and like no rhyme or reason, but just like very rapid dreams, which
okay.
can't magically help
I don't know. Maybe you're purging all that out of your system at once.
something. But it's just also something that I've also seen, like my attention to detail and focusing has become a little bit. It's easier for me to kind of drift away a bit. So this is all my long way of saying I'm putting a pause, possibly a permanent one, on the TikToks and Facebook.
Not a bad idea. We told you to do that before.
And I did for a while, but I fell off the wagon, and I'm
Mm,
gonna firmly stay on that wagon.
yeah, it's all just ads for OnlyFans. It's all I. It's like everybody's like, "Hey, check out this." I'm like, "Yeah, this is just somebody promoting their only." And it's not always like naked OnlyFans. It's like my OnlyFans for my music, my OnlyFans for my art. It's like
Cosplay or
yeah,
something like
it's just
that.
people promoting their place where they want you to spend money, where they want you to hand them cash.
Well, the funniest thing about it is that most of the videos that like actually end up on my feed are cooking videos, which is
Right.
laughable when I don't cook.
Yeah.
But it's fun to like go into it thinking, you know what, maybe I could make that, and then just never make it.
So I think I said something to this effect on social media recently. So you're watching those cooking videos and you're like, that looks interesting. And then they do this move where they've cooked something and then they like take the knife and like scrape it across the top to
Mm.
show you that it's, this is cooked.
So it's crispy.
And
Yeah.
that immediately for me, I'm like, oh, you're an asshole. I don't know why.
Really?
Can't stand that
What?
shit.
Okay, hold on.
And
No,
I
no,
just
no. Let's
scroll
unpack
on,
this. Like,
scroll
why?
on because seems like a dick move. Like
Okay.
I can see that you've cooked it. You're gonna show me when you bite into it that you're gonna do this number. You're gonna go oh and act like it's
Yeah.
like you had an orgasm and drop the
Yeah.
fork and throw it in the air and then walk off camera. I already know that shit's gonna happen. So you're already one strike in before anything's happened.
Okay.
And then you do that little knife scrape thing, and it's like, oh, just fuck you.
So it's
You're
all.
not getting a third strike.
So
We're
it's all.
moving on.
So it's almost like an insult to your intelligence.
It's almost like it's almost like it's so friggin' cliched. Like you're
Interesting.
doing the same thing you saw some other food influencer do whenever they were doing that shit, and now like everybody does it. It's like really get some originality. Maybe don't scrape the knife on the top of the meat or the tofu or the whatever you cooked that had to be browned, like something seared in a frying pan or whatever. Like no, that's stupid. It makes you look like an idiot. Makes me feel like an idiot for having spent this much time watching you. Scroll on.
Well, that's one of the issues with food talk is what I've seen it been called, where like a lot of the popular topics just so inundated. Like there's not a lot of room for ingenuity now because
Mhm.
it feels like everything's been done. Like recreating the popular dishes of serial killers,
Right.
recreating dishes of past British prime ministers. Like it's all been done. So I feel like they've been doubling down lately and just focusing on what's popular. And every single quote unquote influencer does that
And then they all do the same tricks throughout their video. So when somebody else is wanting to become an influencer, they try doing the influencer's tricks too. And it's like I said, it's just cliched. It's just played out. It's like just show me it. Okay, so this feels like the modern equivalent because we've moved from a text-based and photo-based social media to video-based now, short video-based, and this feels like the in my head for some reason. I know it's not the same, but it gives me the same feeling as when I'm looking at a recipe, but the recipe is buried under a novel of a blog post that you put up, and I just want to get to the friggin' recipe. And if I've scrolled down that far and I've not found the recipe yet, I'm moving on. And
Sure.
this feels like a lot of the same type of thing. Like, oh, that's cute, but I just want to read the recipe. I just want to see the meal that you prepared. I don't need you to stop and do, or like the thing where like they'll throw like a onion in the air and like and then they do the quick cut and look, all the onion pieces all over the tray.
I
It's
don't
like,
know.
yeah, you're
That's the point you're starting to lose me. I kind of like that.
yeah, well, what's that say?
So all the more reason
Yeah,
to
it's just it's the
give up the
same
reels.
same little tricks that they saw two or three influencers do, so now everybody's copying it. It's like, no, no, I know you chopped up an onion. Just show me you adding the onion to the dish. At what step in the dish do you need to add the onion? I don't need to see your cool gimmicks, your cool little look what I've got. I've got whatever pro plan. I can cut this video together and put it back, and yeah, that's special. I'm glad you feel good. Is the meal any good? And then
Is the meal
you do the throw the fork in the air. Oh my God, it's so
yeah.
wonderful. Walk off thing.
Where's the food aspect of
Yeah,
food
it's
talk?
like I just want to see what you made and
So
see if I think I might like it.
with the positive side though,
Yeah.
that's conflicting that is I recently discovered a video game that I am absolutely nuts in,
Okay.
which I know that I'm a little late to the party because this game came out earlier than 2021, than the quote unquote final cut came out in 2021. But it is called Disco Elysium.
Hmm.
Are you familiar?
I have heard the name.
It is an incredible game as long as you are into point and click adventure games and like a lot of dialogue.
Okay.
Basically, the basic premise is you are a detective who is unsure of what his actual name even is. You're kind of it's a little bit, you can kind of forge your own path, kind of can't. What you are as a detective, like I said, doesn't know enough of his own name, but also is kind of a piece of shit. Like you wake up, the game immediately starts with you waking yourself up from a drunken stupor, and all of a sudden you're trying to piece together what's happened. You're supposed to be solving this murder, but you don't even remember your own name. And then with that, there's a lot of engaging characters, but none more engaging than what's inside you. I feel like I could have worded that a little differently.
Yeah.
Um,
This based on what you're saying so far, it sounds to me your description reminds me of a PS3 era game
uh,
called Heavy Rain.
yes. Okay.
Is it similar?
Not at all,
Okay.
but I can see
It
why.
sounds like it
I
based on
can
your
see why
description.
you
Yeah.
think that. So when I say what's inside you, um, every aspect of what makes a human,
Mhm.
so various emotions, your hand-eye coordination, your imagination, they all are separate characters that
Okay.
have their own dialogue, that have their own. Now it's funny because all of your internal dialogue is voiced by one person. They're just like a jazz musician,
Mhm.
and he does a stellar job giving life to all of these different emotions. Um, and it's very fascinating because I'm only about 2 or 3 hours in, but the game has already touched on a lot of like nihilistic, very out there subject matter,
Right.
while also tying in a fair amount of very smartly written comedy and character development. So I'm
Mhm.
very excited to see where the game is going. It is a game that feels very much made for me, which I know as a result means I probably will not have a lot of people to talk about this game with.
Yeah.
But overall, I'm very excited to see how it's going to progress. And so that,
So why? So where is there a conflict between the video game that you're enjoying and the reels that you feel addicted to, but you're gonna stop?
so with
Where's the where? Well, you said you're conflicted. Where's the conflict?
so the conflict lies in the fact that because I've basically rotted my brain with these reels,
Mhm.
my attention span has I can feel it reduce.
Right.
So I'm hoping that kicking the reels will help expand my attention span again because games like Disco Elysium, which I normally love, do demand a fair amount of focus
Yeah.
and a fair amount of time. Especially in Disco Elysium, nothing happens quickly. So I've noticed that while playing this game, I'm having to do like spurts, like 10, 15-minute spurts before I go a little bit more of a fast-paced game. Not because I'm not having a great time by any means, but because I'm having trouble.
Because your brain has been conditioned by short up to 2 minute videos.
Exactly. And even like with that,
Yeah.
if a 2-minute video doesn't catch me within the first like 5 seconds, I'm done. That's too long for me,
Yeah.
which is insane.
There's an easy solution. Quit logging into that stuff.
Just stop doing it.
Remove it from your phone. You can delete the apps. You can always download them later when you feel like you got a handle on it. But go ahead and just shut it off.
So TikTok was easy to do because like it's an independent
because
app.
the government's going to shut it
Well,
down
that's
anyway.
it.
No,
But it's
anyway.
an independent app. It's easy. But like Facebook, Instagram,
Uh-huh.
especially for our conventions appearances, we actively use those.
Mhm.
So like they're right there. So like it is a literal touch away from getting back into it.
Oh, here's what you do. You don't use Facebook. You use the Pop Goes the Culture podcast Facebook page
There it is.
to be able to see what's going on with the convention and share that out as part of the podcast and don't even log into your own shit.
You know what? That actually might be a good idea. Speaking of good ideas in social media, ladies and gentlemen,
Uh-oh.
on that note, you can let us know what you've been up to.
Where
as well.
to find Zach's musings online from
There
now
you
on.
go. You
Yes.
can hit us up on social media. You can find us on Facebook,
Yes.
Instagram,
Uh-huh.
Threads,
Yep.
Blue Sky,
Uh-huh.
Mastodon,
Really?
and X.
For
You
now.
for now. You can search for and find us at PGTC Podcast on all of those social media platforms. Let us know what you're up to and anything else you just like to get off your chest in moderation.
I'm having a moral dilemma
Ooh,
on
tell
how
me.
long I hang on to some of these because,
Mhm.
like, X is ran by a Nazi
Mhm.
and Facebook's ran by a guy who's always kind of been a piece of shit and he owns Threads and Instagram and now he's leaning hard into the hey, I am a piece of shit and this guy's a piece of shit, but look at him. Everybody thinks he's cool. I'll be more of a piece of shit. So there's this whole thing of like, how much do we actually use those platforms and is it worth we're not paying money for any of this. We're not verified. You're not going to find a check mark next to our name. But at the same time, like how much content do we put on a platform owned by, for lack of a better term, just complete assholes? So there is, yes, we're continuing to use it because people continue to use social media, and we want to find people where they're at, let people know what's going on, have some fun things out there. But I always feel dirty after doing it. Like,
Sure.
oh, I need to go take a hot shower now, wash off the feel of Elon's little cronies watching me schedule out posts or whatever.
It's an interesting moral dilemma to find ourselves in because, like, on one hand, yes, these are platforms that are ran by deplorable people.
Uh-huh.
However, you could also make another argument that the platforms as a whole have grown far beyond the constructs that the original creators identified them as or created them for.
But they haven't because Elon still goes in and jacks with the Twitter code all the time to get rid of the ability to block people.
So,
Or you have to pay now to get rid of those people that are harassing you online, or getting rid of any sort of the changing. The game has changed considerably since November, especially since
sure.
inauguration. People are be, people have been given permission to be the people that we knew they were all along.
So with Twitter, I think Twitter is a very easy one to get out
Oh
of
yeah,
because like, it's been a dumpster fire.
since it was
Before
purchased.
I was about to say, yeah, before it was purchased, but like especially now that it's been purchased and to see the state it has become, I feel like that one's very easy one to jump out of.
Yep.
Facebook and Instagram, in my opinion, is a little bit more difficult because I would say that user base has stuck around. That one is a little bit more engaged. I feel like if you still use Twitter, it is one that is either your main platform or one that you unfortunately look out for content that is based solely on Twitter, which unfortunately is a little bit of the
Yeah, Twitter has
aforementioned piece of
yeah,
shitness
Twitter
that we
Twitter has become like the 4chan and all that stuff. That's what where
inundated
it
with
used to be. Yeah. It
horrible
used to be,
content
people had to go find that stuff that they had to want to seek that out. Now it's
readily
like now it's
available.
right there on your phone. You can do whatever stupid stuff you want to do. So yeah, it's and like I said, the numbers have gone down across all social media. People are getting tired of it. And like what you were saying earlier, they're tired of the way it makes them feel, whatever. But Facebook, for some reason, it still has the most active users of any of the social media platforms. So if we stick with something, it'll probably be Facebook. And if you're going to stick with Facebook, like I said, it's real simple to stick because it's all owned by the same company. They want you to play across all their stuff. But I don't know, man. I'm almost to the point of like, you know what? We've got an email address.
Just hit us
Just
up.
email us because, well, although Google's not great
Not great.
either.
It's inescapable.
What do you do? Like there needs to be somebody who's like, "Hey, I'm going to build something that allows people to communicate and I'm not a jerk." So feel okay using it. I don't know. Nobody's doing that. They're all and maybe it's just the nature of the beast. Like you have to be kind of narcissistic asshole in
I was
order
just
to
about to say, I think that to some degree power corrupts,
Mhm.
and that I think maybe not ever meeting him, but maybe the creator of Facebook, uh,
Mark Zuckerberg.
that guy, maybe had all the greatest intentions in the
No, he
world.
didn't.
Oh, fair enough.
No,
Fair
no,
enough.
he stole it from his college
All
roommates
right,
in
there was a
order
whole
to
movie about this.
in order to rate women
Nice.
on physical characteristics.
Well, never mind, ladies and
You know what
gentlemen.
I found though? I
Tell me.
did find. Ooh, I'm gonna have to step away for a second. I found something that we've been talking
Oh my
about.
God.
I'm gonna go get it real
Oh,
quick.
this is so exciting.
Woo. If you're watching it live, here I am spinning around my cable. All right, hold on. I'll be right back.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, while we wait for Joey Mills to explain or to display this grand surprise, if you are watching us live, go ahead and send us a shout out. Let
All
us
right,
know what you think.
I'm
Oh
back.
my goodness!
So we talked about it. I mean, it's been a while since we recorded, but yes, Pepsi has added
Wow,
wild cherry and cream flavor Pepsi. Now I got to get back into my cables. All
this
right. And we said if we find one of these, we're going to
yeah.
taste test it. Well, hot dog,
Look
I found
at
one.
that. Now, where
So,
did we find this?
uh, grocery store, Walmart, something like that.
A nondescript grocery store.
Yeah, just any random
Okay.
grocery store.
So I read somewhere that this is going to be added to the permanent lineup.
Yes.
Is that significant? Was the other flavors that they had that like were fruit themed? Were they not?
Yeah, a lot of times these companies will add like a seasonal, like when they've got something they just want to try it out,
Okay.
they'll do it in a limited run. They'll just try it for a season, just to see if people buy it. I know, and then they take it away. So recently, everybody's been adding more fruity flavors or more, other types of stuff. So yeah, it's and if it catches on, if it sells well, then after a while they bring it back. But this one, yeah, went straight to their regular lineup. So
So they have a lot of
it
content.
smells like cherry Pepsi.
I was about to say color is indistinguishable from
Yeah,
normal Pepsi, but I
it
mean I
smells
will
like
say
cherry Pepsi.
that cherry Pepsi like hits right.
You know what? Just tastes like a cherry
I
Pepsi.
was just about to say like this is
Why is this?
indistinguishable
What
from.
is the? And we already have cherry Pepsi. So why is wild cherries and cream? I mean, it like you said, it's indistinguishable flavor
If
from
you let it sit on your tongue a little longer, which only a crazy person would do if they're drinking soda,
right. Yeah,
you can
you,
get a
you
little bit of that
check out the
cream.
legs on it. Yes,
Yeah, I was
the
trying to like.
bouquet.
So the first time I drank it just normal. Next, I drank it like I was drinking a glass of wine. Uh, you get some. I'm not saying it's like in your face,
Here's what I
but
get.
it's subtle.
It's cherry Pepsi, but it's got the edge taken off of the cherry flavor.
Mm,
Like if you're
okay.
wanting a cherry Pepsi has I don't know the best word to describe it. I'm going to use this word, and it's not the right word, but
Okay.
there is a bit of a almost a tartness at the end. Like that cherry feels sharp on your tongue, if that makes
Sure.
sense.
Yeah.
This feels like it's cherry Pepsi, but they've dulled the edges. Is all they've done. They blunted the edges so that I mean, if you're gonna drink one, this is probably because of that. For me, I like that better than cherry Pepsi because cherry Pepsi, you can drink one or cherry Coke or whatever. You can drink one, and you're like, yeah, I'm glad I had it. I'm not gonna have it again for a while. But this one, I could see drinking this more frequently if you're into a cherry soda. I'm
I guess,
not really big on cherry soda,
I
so
guess my confusion with, especially now having tasted it,
mhm.
is this is going to be added to the lineup
Yeah,
when Cherry Pepsi is already a thing.
yeah.
And honestly, like if you put both of these in front of me
Oh,
unlabeled, I couldn't tell you the
even
difference.
the label. Like I had to
Oh, good
stop
point.
and make
Good point.
sure that this was actually the cherry, wild cherry and cream,
So I guess like my
because
confusion
it's the same label pretty much as the cherry
without,
Pepsi.
yeah, those white strips. So I
Yeah,
guess my confusion then is, am I going to, like, obviously you'll do now because it's so new, but like 3 to 5 months later, am I
is
going to
anybody buying
walk
this?
am I going to walk into Walmart and see both cherry Pepsi and cherry, what is it?
Wild cherry and cream.
Wild cherry and cream next to each other.
Yes, they already are. Which is why I had to like stop and like really because again, the label is only slightly different. There's a little bit of a yellow and orange kind of white kind of striping, but other than that, it is
Yeah.
it is indistinguishable on the shelf.
And I want to be clear, it's not bad.
Right.
Like if you like cherry Pepsi, you're gonna like this. There's
Yeah.
no reason you won't.
Yeah.
It's just I confused as to why it needs to be.
This feels like a gateway drug to cherry Pepsi.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying? Like this feels
sure.
like there's Pepsi and Diet Pepsi and Pepsi Zero Sugar and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then there's cherry Pepsi, which again has a little bit of an edge to it. This feels like a step in between. It's got some cherry flavor, but it's not, like I said, it's not kicking you in the teeth with cherry. It's like there's some cherry.
It also, in my opinion, this is a little unfortunate. It's a little bit of a safe choice.
Yeah,
Like they also Pepsi, for credit where credit was due, they came out with it was either mango or
yeah.
orange,
I think it's mango.
and like it was different.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say it was amazing. I would never gravitate towards it.
yeah,
However, I respected them that they tried to push the box a little bit. I mean, I feel like cherry is such a safe,
yeah.
inundated flavor that like you're Pepsi, you're probably number two on the roster
Yep.
for dark sodas. Like I feel like if anybody are in a place to push the envelope a little bit, it's Pepsi.
Yeah,
They
but
do
they
it,
didn't.
and they did. So,
Another permanent flavor that will be coming soon is I'm not a Pepsi drinker. I'm a Dr. Pepper drinker. Dr. Pepper Blackberry is coming soon.
I'm excited about
And
that.
that's another one that's going straight to like this is in our rotation.
They're
That's not,
putting wow.
which is weird because the best flavor they ever put out was just a seasonal one, and it's coming back for this summer as well. The coconut cream
Oh,
Dr.
coconut cream.
Pepper was
Coconut
really
cream
really good,
was good. Yeah, yeah,
and that one's coming back, but it's coming back on a seasonal basis. It's not coming back as a part of the permanent lineup, and yet we have the blackberry, which is untested. That should be seasonal and bring the other one back. But no, blackberry's coming right in the
the
rotation. So
only argument I can think about that is like coconut's a little bit more of a divisive flavor amongst people, where I think blackberry, cherry, like that's a little bit more well beloved.
but if you go to like Sonic, they don't have blackberry syrup to add to your soda, but they do have coconut cream.
Mm.
So I don't know. I don't know. We'll find out. You know what? We're just gonna have to get one and taste.
I was about to say there you
That's
go.
what we're gonna have to do.
That's what their plot is. They're just keep on going to the place. So well,
They're watching the podcast
they
and
get
like,
free
what
marketing.
else can we throw at these yahoos? They'll taste anything.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, off to the topics up for debate today.
Uh oh.
First off, we've got last Sunday,
Uh huh.
of course, Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
Now, love it or hate it,
Hate it.
that big old rat
Hmm.
decided there was going to be 6 more weeks of
That's
Christmas.
what I hear.
I'm actually excited.
You know what?
I
It
prefer
feels like we're gonna get 6 weeks. They're calling for snow next week, which
Are
is
they really?
oh yeah, yeah.
My goodness. Well,
Welcome to 6 more weeks of
there you
hell,
go. Well, hey,
hell frozen over.
at least next week's con, we don't have to fly or drive extended.
No, but you know what we do get to do?
What do we get
Move
to do?
between buildings.
No,
So yes, bundle up.
I forgot about that.
Yep.
Bad.
Mhm.
So last Sunday
Uh-huh.
were the Grammy Awards.
Ooh, people are
Amongst,
pissed about that.
oh my gosh! So amongst the big winners, we
Yes.
had Beyonce, Queen Bee
Won a
herself.
lot of awards,
A lot of awards.
including Country Album of the
I was
Year.
about to say, to be fair, she usually does, but this one was significant because she won Country Album of the Year,
which some folks are not happy.
I was about to say, depending on where you were either super happy about that or
I don't know
it's
that
like she slapped your grandmother.
I don't know that anybody was really happy besides her probably. Like I've not seen anybody like, yeah, this is a really good country album. Like most people are like, no, it didn't get airtime on the radio because it's not a country album. It's a picture of her on a horse with a cowboy hat, but it's a Beyonce album. So
As an individual who doesn't really I mean, not to be rude, but really care about country
Yeah,
music. I was happy just because I do love Beyonce, both who she is and her music. So like when I saw that, I was elated.
right.
But taking into consideration that there are people that have worked in this industry or that music genre for decades upon decades, for her to win out over that, I mean, you could make an argument that maybe that would be a little bit irritating. I don't subscribe to the people online that are like losing their absolute minds over
Yeah,
it by any
that's
means.
just trying to get attention. Yeah,
Exact, getting
that's a
attention,
cry for help.
attention cry for help, and likely probably is because of a more sinister reason.
Yeah, it's. I mean, we don't have to dance around it. Country music tends to be aimed at rural America, which,
Rural white America.
based on voting trends, based on policies trends, as far as at the county, state, local level, is, for lack of a better term, racist. And so, seeing a black woman move from an R&B genre to a country music genre, some, not everybody, some people are just mad because, why is there a black woman in my country music? I mean, that's going to happen no matter what. Anytime a black person does anything, there's a chance that there's a group of people, who I used to think was a small number of people, but apparently it's about
As
half.
it turns out.
Apparently it's about half the voters in America, that don't like that. They why you she's a woman and she's black.
Apparently, sin number one.
We
And black
yeah,
sin
yeah,
number two.
two things that she has no control over whatsoever, and well, she did have a choice on whether or not to make a country music album. There are folks out there who are throwing a fit because when it was announced, they were throwing a fit because she's not staying in her lane. So,
That's, so Joey, what I appreciate. Oh, I appreciate a lot. But
mhm.
the fact that
Call
you
a spade a spade.
I'll call it spade a spade, just be able to like put it so out there, where me dancing around it, me
Yeah,
using flowery language. I appreciate that about you. But no, you're absolutely right. And unfortunately, even Beyonce, such an indomitable spirit. I mean, award after award, one of the most influential people in music history. Even she's not free or able to like escape those bonds that people kind of just constrain, not just artists, but as you put it,
I was
women and people of color.
trying to think. Is there a black woman who potentially could have made a country music album and not faced as severe, as much? I don't know if it's a frequency or if it's an intensity thing, but wouldn't have faced the backlash that she did. And the only name I can think of, and even that I don't know, would have been like Whitney Houston. She's the only one I could think of that might have enough goodwill in the bank that she could have made a country music album and not upset everybody.
See,
But even that, there's still going to be a small group that's going to be like, hey.
I think you're right, and so I
The only,
disagree with.
and I'm basing that solely on the fact that she did cover "I Will Always Love You," which is a Dolly Parton song, which is a country music song. So maybe she could have, maybe that would have bought her enough grace and goodwill to have attempted it.
I
But
think she definitely
I
could have
don't know.
attempted it, and it would have been amazing.
Yeah,
But I disagree with you because I agree with you
yeah,
on the thing you said
yeah.
before, is that
There's still going to be, yeah,
unfortunately she is a person of color and she is a woman, and as history has dictated, that is an issue for a surprising amount of people.
yeah, yeah. That's the only one I could think of that may have had enough. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's anybody that really has enough in the tank to overcome X hundred years
Yeah.
of racism and
Continuing on with that list,
400.
winning awards during the Grammys this year,
Mm-hmm.
we also had Kendrick Lamar,
Who's
which
playing in the Super Bowl halftime show?
that's what I hear.
We're gonna see how that goes.
So based on, so I didn't watch the Grammys
Uh-huh.
first and foremost. I'm about to
No,
just lay that out
neither
there.
nor did I.
However, based on what I read online and
Excuse you.
saw, yeah, excuse me, thank you. It was not a great time for Drake.
It hasn't been for a minute, from what
Hasn't
I
been for a minute.
understand.
Not to say it wasn't self-imposed,
Yeah, I was gonna say,
but
but here are the
I
consequences of your own
I remember
action.
hearing he was wearing was it a Canada-inspired blazer or suit of some kind?
So denim.
Denim. Oh,
I
okay,
don't know.
yeah, I wasn't.
That's like the Canadian
Well,
tuxedo,
it was
right?
like a wink at Drake, who is Canadian.
Yeah.
And then when I guess he was walking on stage, I heard anyway that they were singing the diss track about him and singing the A minor part.
Mm.
I just have to imagine Drake watching that
Yeah.
on stage.
You know what? Yeah. You don't. It's the consequences of your own
Exactly.
actions
Like, oh my
coming back to
God,
bite
look
you in
at
the ass. Look at that.
how could I have this? Moving on to Sabrina
That
Carpenter
that is the find out phase of the phrase.
of
Yeah.
F around and find out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say, can't they feel bad for Drake
No, not at
necessarily?
all.
Sabrina Carpenter,
Good for her.
surprise to nobody.
Yeah.
Um, and then Missouri's very own Chaperone,
Like best new artist or something.
something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Which is always weird because a new artist who's already has like 3 or 4 albums, you know what I mean? It's like this is the year you broke
We're being
through.
very loose or
You could
subjective
you
with the
could
word new.
rechange yeah, you could change that and reword it to be
Yeah.
something like the breakthrough artist or
Yeah,
something like that,
exactly.
as opposed to best new artist because yeah, she's been making music for years. But
Moving on.
congratulations to all the winners.
Oh yes, of course.
Yes, who are
Um,
listening to this show or watching us live stream on YouTube.
Hey! So moving on though,
Kendrick Lamar's watching us on live stream. Like, oh,
Could you
now I wasn't going
I
to,
was going
but
to,
now
but
I'm
like,
gonna
you
because
guys
Zach thought
got
it was
beef
pretty
with
fun.
Drake too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Moving on, we've got the first full trailer
Yes.
this week of the new Fantastic Four movie. So,
Mhm.
real quick, Jordan, any initial thoughts, feelings? I know we've been burned before
Yes.
with
By the
Fantastic.
Fantastic Four, multiple times, multiple casts, multiple attempts to make it work.
Have we gotten to the point that they're just kind of a lost cause, or do you think that this should be possibly their Hail Mary? Like, if this don't work, it's just Fantastic Four does not.
I don't think that anybody at Disney Marvel Studios is going to pull the plug right away if it doesn't go well. I think there is enough interest for at least opening weekend to be number one. I don't know what the numbers will look like, but it should probably win opening weekend. But what they do in that film is going to determine what the drop off is from there. It On the positive side, it looks very comics accurate. It's kind of that retro futuristic feel to it. Um, the shots, not even a full shot, the shadows, the silhouettes we get of Galactus show that they're going with a comics accurate look for the character as opposed to a giant purple tornado or whatever the hell it was in the one movie.
The Silver Surfer.
But they, and there's a couple things you've got to do right that the Fantastic Four films to this point have not done well. It is hard to make Mr. Fantastic, Reed Richards, his superpowers he can stretch. It's hard to make that not look like shit on film, and it hasn't been accomplished yet. It's looked really bad, and if you'll notice, this trailer does not show any of that.
Oh.
So we'll see. Maybe the effects aren't done. Maybe they're still working on it. Maybe they're putting a polish on it so it does look really good. But boy, that's a hard one to pull off. And then the second thing that you have to nail in a Fantastic Four film is the chemistry between the characters. It is considered Marvel's first family. If it doesn't feel like this is a family, that's not gonna work. You can't just throw people at it. Doesn't matter how amazing your cast is. If they don't have the right chemistry, it doesn't work. And so far, they've not captured that very well.
And honestly, I think that was the biggest thing that ruined the rebooted one, which that guy from
Miles
Top Gun
Teller.
Maverick, Miles Teller, like they all independently are fine actors, but with working together,
It
there was
fell
no
flat.
chemistry there.
Yeah. And the one thing that I think they will have in their back pocket that will drive ticket sales at least opening weekend is yes, Galactus. Yes, we're going to see other stuff. But the one thing that you could always count on from Fantastic Four, and they've not done well yet either, is Doctor Doom. And we know Robert Downey Jr. is going to be Doctor Doom in some Marvel film down the road. Doesn't necessarily mean he'll be in the Fantastic Four film. Does Clearly the Fantastic Four film is not in the same timeline universe as Marvel proper, the MCU. So I think the curiosity of is Robert Downey Jr. going to show up in this movie, maybe even just in a post-credit scene.
I was gonna say, I think it's probably safe to say a post-credit scene like the Robocop.
So I think that curiosity factor they have going for them, and I think they will sit on that as long as they can. You won't know until it comes out in theaters, and then Actually, you won't know until the critics get to see it the week that it opens, and then some asshole will spoil it online because there is always, and I can almost tell you the guy's name, but there are people who just they're
Chad.
they're critics, but they really are there just to piss in everybody's Wheaties and spoil every surprise. So, um, yeah, I think if they can manage to keep that bottled up, which is going to be hard because Deadpool and Wolverine was the last big surprise-filled movie, and they did not keep the secrets bottled up very well. We knew
Not for long.
we knew who was going to be in that movie, the whole way through. So yeah, if they lose the element of surprise or the element of what could potentially happen, that possibility, um, then I think that could hurt them. But it's all going to come down to what they put on film or what they put on the screen, and if it's anything like the last couple of, because they have goodwill right now. People want this to work. They want to see a good Fantastic Four film. They want to incorporate this into the larger Marvel universe. There's hope, but at the same time, there's a history of bad taste still in the mouth of at least two other, three if you go way back, attempts to make this work and it falling flat on its face. So they've got rope. They're either going to hang themselves with it or they're going to pull themselves up
Climb
with
up
it.
from
But that rope is getting shorter. It's short and it's getting shorter. So we'll see what happens.
A lot of your feelings replicate many of my own watching this trailer. I think, speaking of safe choices, going with Pedro Pascal, so far, at least in major titles,
Yep.
there's nothing Pedro Pascal has done that hasn't been pretty universally beloved. But
Mhm.
it's a very easy choice to cast him as fantastic. The rest of the cast looks fine enough. I agree with you that the trailer didn't really show off much of their like natural chemistry. So I do agree that that'll be kind of probably make or break the film.
I,
Um,
I don't think the I don't think this film rides on Pedro Pascal's shoulders as much as people want to think it
oh,
will.
solely not.
I think he is the big name they got to, if you look at the cast they got Pedro Pascal, who's everybody's daddy and everything right now. So that was a safe play, and it was, that's the name
Agreed.
recognition. And they grabbed the guy that was Eddie in Stranger Things, which everybody loves right now. He's got so much goodwill in the bag to be, Johnny Storm to be, but I think that this movie, personally, I think it's going to revolve around the performance of Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm
Really.
because she is of the cast so far by far the best actor that they've got. Not the biggest name,
Sure.
but by far
But
the
like
best
acting
actor.
chops.
And I think she's going to do a great job because I've not seen her do a poor job. She's not phoned in a performance yet. She is going to have to be the glue that makes this thing work or not because she is married to Pedro Pascal and a sister to, it's going to be how if she can somehow, whatever magic she may or may not have, pull the chemistry thing together so that maybe not every character works really well together, but if she can be kind of the linchpin that everything works well through her because she is the best actor that they've got, then they have a chance. But I think Pedro is just a flashy, hey, we got
Oh, sure, yeah, yeah.
Pedro.
Bring
Hey, we got Joseph Quinn.
bring him in, but then Vanessa Kirby is going to keep him there.
Yeah, I think so.
I agree with that because this is I don't know I how I like to describe it is like the end game era
Mm-hmm.
of the MCU. That was late high. You just graduate high school. You have all this potential, and everything after Endgame felt a lot like early awkward 20s, where you're
Mm-hmm.
trying to find your footing again. You're off in this new, unexplored world where you're just trying to figure out who you are. And there was a lot of peaks and valleys. I feel
Yeah,
like in the extended
and the
MCU
peaks weren't as high,
we're not nearly as high. I would
but the
agree.
valleys were lower.
We're very low,
Yeah.
very low. So this feels like mid late 20s. You got some experience under your belt, and this is your maybe not one and only opportunity, but your first big opportunity to really present yourself in a similar light, if not expand and evolve this universe that, love it or hate it, has become such a gargantuan force in pop
Mhm.
culture.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's people are saying this could be the make or break. I don't know that it's going to necessarily break,
Not break.
but it's easy to say that. It's cliche
I think we can all agree, though, that MCU's been a little bit of a decline
or a lot of
for,
it on a
for a
decline.
while.
Yeah.
And so this might be
This
their
this
first opportunity to really regain some
this
of
this is a
that
chance to
renown.
reset that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Well, speaking of, well, really nothing that's been said.
Yeah, that doesn't
I
apply
tried to
to
find a tie-in, but
anything.
so Nintendo has released its updated top 10 best-selling Switch games.
Yes.
So the rankings as a whole didn't deviate too much from what they were last year.
Yeah.
However, there was some sizable sales number changes that I really kind of wanted to spotlight. And I wasn't actually aware of this list last year.
Mm.
So starting from the 10th all the way to number one. For number 10, we've got New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe with 18.06 million copies sold. Super Mario Party with 21.10 million copies. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, which this one was a little lower on the list than I expected. I kind of thought Breath of the Wild and this would kind of be neck and neck, but
Yeah, Breath of the Wild's had a lot longer shelf life
that's
for people to have bought copies.
well. And I also think that
Multiple years worth of sales.
sure, I also think kind of Breath of the Wild served very similar to something
A
like it
palette
did for
refresh.
me.
Yeah.
Well, to me is that like if you like the new direction that they're taking with Legend of Zelda games, you'll buy Tears of the Kingdom if
Right.
you like Breath of the Wild. I didn't really care for Breath of the Wild, so I didn't get Tears of the Kingdom.
Yep.
Pokemon Scarlet and Violet and Pokemon Sword and Shield were neck and neck with 7 and 6 respectively. Super Mario Odyssey with 29.04 million copies, and of course Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Next up, Animal Crossing New Horizons at 47.44 million copies. And then the absolute highest selling Nintendo Switch game is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe with 67.35 million copies.
Yeah, 1 through 3 look like what you would expect to
Sure.
see. 4 and 5 you could flop around. I mean, depending on where you're at. The rest are what they are. But the thing that stands out to me looking at this list, and this is not a groundbreaking, earth-shattering revelation, but looking at this, there are no third-party titles.
I noticed
It
that as
is
well.
all Nintendo property.
Which, I mean, the only one that I could potentially think of, and I don't even know if this game got a physical release, but Hades on the Switch.
Mhm.
I know that's not necessarily limited to just
Right.
Nintendo
And it's
Switch.
not a developer that they own. It's not their property.
Correct,
Yeah.
but it was hugely popular.
Yeah.
But I was also kind of excited, or I'm sorry, not kind of excited, kind of surprised not to see some of Nintendo's own first-party software, so any Kirby games on this list, any of the new Donkey Kong games. Like I know
Yeah,
Donkey
that's
Kong
not too super surprising because you got to look. This is not how many copies were sold last year. This is how many copies have been
overall.
sold. And so Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was a launch title.
Yeah, one of those.
So seeing
Same
it
with
at number
New
one,
Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe.
yeah, Super Smash Brothers was not launch, but it was right after. So yeah, there's it makes sense, but it is kind of like you said, Hades was huge on maybe on something else, not on Nintendo Switch. That's clearly so. And even if it's at number 11, let's say, and it's a tie, 18.06 million copies on the Switch, that's a drop in the bucket compared to what they sold, I'm sure, on other platforms. So,
And no Disco Elysium.
well, did it even launch on the Switch?
It did.
Did it?
That's how
Okay.
I'm playing it now.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No.
Not
You are
la-
the only one that cares
I was
about
about to
that
say,
game.
yeah, not launched on the Switch, but it's on the Switch.
Yeah,
and yeah. So maybe somewhere in the thousandth place, it's probably there.
maybe. They got one guy.
Got
There's
one,
this. There's
at
a
least
Zach.
one person playing it.
They're pulling up the numbers. Like there's one guy that keeps playing it for like 30 seconds at a time. I don't know what the hell he's getting out of that, but good for him.
If there are any games on the Switch that you thought deserved to be on this
Mm.
list, let us know on social media. Again, at least for now, we are on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, Mastodon, and unfortunately, X. Search for us at PGTC Podcast. Let us know what you think.
Is there the only thing I could think of that could have made the list that didn't would have been like one of the Splatoon titles,
Yeah.
but I'm not surprised to not see it on
I
the
just feel
list.
that
That's the
game's
only
just
thing I can think of.
falling.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
I
When
feel
it yeah, I'm talking about the original when it launched. Now they're up to like what 3 or 4, and it's all the same damn
three was
game.
like the
Yeah.
same,
So yeah, seeing the original not on there is kind of not
Yeah.
surprising, but at the same time, if something else is going to be on there, that's probably what I
Yeah,
would have thought.
maybe
would've-
that's like number 11.
Yeah, maybe so.
Well, let us know. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're taking a closer look at Groundhog Day.
Oh no.
Don't go anywhere. Right back.
Yeah, go ahead. Bathroom break time. Yeah, no, don't worry about it. This is the part of the show you don't see, where we stop to go pee. So yes, we are testing our live stream capability. The idea being that instead of us recording and then having to post the episode to YouTube, that by live streaming it, it's already done. It's there, right? You can find it anytime. We don't have to take an extra step to post it. The reason we didn't prior to this was because the first episode we did when we came back, we had some audio issues. I don't know if you go back and look at it, you could probably tell that what we did is we took the podcast audio only version, stripped out the audio from the video, and laid the podcast audio on top of it. I tried to get it close to matching the lip flaps for our anime fans as possible, but yeah. So I think the last couple of episodes that we recorded before we took an unintended break, it felt like the audio quality was there. So assuming the audio quality is good now with this live stream, then yes, we'll start live streaming our recordings every Thursday. We're a little later in the day today. Normally they're going to be at 12 Eastern, 11 a.m. Central Time. Um, so yeah, hopefully this all works. It's one less production step we have to do on the back end. Plus, you get stuff like this, where Zach goes at the P's, and I can sit here and chat with you guys. So also, if you are doing just the old school audio only version, what we are doing is we are adding audio from some of these conventions we go to, the Q&As that we do with our celebrity guests, kind of like we did before we took a break at the end of last year. So that is still a bonus thing that is available for our listeners. On the YouTube side of that, if we can get to the point somewhere down the road, and we've had discussions, being able to video and audio record some of these Q and A's that we do at conventions, then we will start trying to append those to either these episodes or have them as their own standalone videos on the YouTube channel. But we're not there yet. So hopefully sometime in this calendar year we can get to that point. So if you want to hear this week's audio from Little Rock Anime Fest, you will have to go to the audio only episode. It'll be like the last half hour. It was a short panel. But the last half hour of the audio only episode will be a Q&A this week. And we'll have more Q&As. We'll have another Q&A from Little Rock Anime Fest on next week's episode. And then we'll start diving into Missouri Comic Con. And again, we've got so many guests, big name guests coming to Missouri Comic Con. The struggle is figuring out which ones we're going to actually put the audio on because we have a ton of guests that we've never featured on the podcast when we've thrown the audio out from the Q and A's. So yeah, we're gonna play around with it a bit and then just keep it going throughout the year as we continue to do more and more conventions. So looks like Zach is back. Hopefully he's washed his hands. Hopefully he's fully zipped. Soap and water. Mm. Oh, what do I
Mine
have?
wasn't on. You wouldn't know this, ladies and gentlemen, but Joey actually has the coolest sink known to man.
Really?
What is that like like filter thing?
Oh, it's just a water filter
Oh,
attached to the sink.
oh,
Yeah.
I thought it had like a lot of other.
No,
Oh,
it
that's
doesn't do anything special. It just makes it not nasty when you have to brush your teeth.
fine. It does look cool though.
Yeah, I mean it's sleek looking. I only buy the sleekest looking stuff. All right, bring us back into this thing.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks to Tootsie Roll Company for sponsoring this week's episode. How many licks do you think are on the center of a Tootsie Pop, Jay?
Well, according to Mr. Owl, 3. But I have seen somebody who's actually done it. I forget what the number was.
No
I
way,
thought it was
really?
like right at 1,000. Like it was. They didn't sit there doing it. They had actually a machine that they attached. It may have been a tongue.
See?
It may have been like a pig's tongue or a cow's tongue, but they attached a tongue or something similar in texture to a human tongue to a machine that licked a Tootsie Roll Pop.
See
And
that?
over and over until they broke through the candy and into the actual Tootsie Roll in the middle. And I want to say it was like 1,000 something.
See that dog don't hunt. I need somebody live stream, average build, average height. How many licks?
So watch for that coming up in the future. We're going to do a video of Zach licking a Tootsie Roll Pop until he gets to the center.
Only the best engaging content for you, ladies and
We
gentlemen.
will have to fast forward that, like let you get the first couple in, and
Yeah.
just do like a real fast, like
No, live-
speed it up,
no.
and then the last lick would be like normal, and you
No,
can tell
live whole time.
okay, and we can watch your tongue bleeding from the rough, licking the candy and all that.
Well, before we do that engaging content, ladies and gentlemen,
But we got to get through this one.
let's talk a little bit more about Groundhog Day.
Groundhog Day.
So, like we mentioned, we have 6 more weeks of winter.
Ugh.
However, we're thinking more about the Bill Murray movie,
All right.
Groundhog Day.
Yeah, at least that's not terrible.
So
Unlike 6 more weeks of winter.
So we were thinking if we were unable to break the cycle
Oh.
of reliving
Stuck in a day.
some of our favorite pop culture moments.
Ooh, so we get to like time travel. Like,
Exactly.
okay.
So if we could relive any pop culture moment that has happened in our lives
Or earlier.
or earlier.
I want to go back.
Oh, okay. So we want to go back.
I think
Okay.
anything, yeah, let's do any pop culture moment that you either you were there for
Okay.
or you maybe you weren't there for, but you wish you
Would
could
love
experience
to
it. Yeah,
like
let's
live
do
through it.
let's
Okay.
open it up wide.
Okay.
Let's not restrict ourselves.
Doesn't impact my list, but fun.
No, because yeah.
So we'll make 3 picks each.
Okay.
One of us will go first,
Uh-huh.
and then if that one that they said was on one of our other lists,
Then that person can't take it.
that one can't take it. They have to come with something else.
All right, cool.
Joey, you want to go first?
No, you go first.
Okay. So I'm going to rate them 3-1.
Okay.
So for number 3, mine would have to be 7 years old. Christmas morning.
Mhm.
I run to the tree. I have a sizable present, Joey, that I'm saving for last.
Okay. Do you choose to save it for last, or were you told it's gonna be last?
I chose.
Okay.
Um, I open it up,
Uh-huh.
and there before me is a brand new PlayStation 2. Now I didn't know it at the time,
Mhm.
so it was already one of my most like memorable pop culture experiences.
Yep.
But I did not know at the time that this was the defining moment that would make a game.
Okay.
Up until this point, I played my PlayStation 1 pretty often, but
Right.
it was more of like a hobby,
Yeah,
more of like, okay, like I can
if I
take
have a
this,
chance and nothing else is going
I
on,
can take
I'll.
this or leave it. Yeah. At this moment, I became a game.
Was there a
Gaming.
game in particular that
So,
made you?
so funnily enough, for 2 reasons. Number one, because it's going to come up in a later entry
Oh, okay. I don't want to
to
spoil
this
it.
list. Okay. But it was also a PlayStation 1 game,
Okay.
funnily enough, that I got with my PlayStation 2.
Ah, okay. Was it backwards compatible or was
It was
it
backwards
a two?
compatible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Remember those days? You could
Oh,
just buy stuff
God,
and not have to buy it 3 times.
the good old days.
All
So,
right.
enjoyment.
In no particular order, so don't count mine as 3-1. Um, I'm going to go with. So this is not something that I experienced because I would have been a couple months old fetus at this point.
Okay.
But I
Fetus
would,
Joey.
yes, I would like to revisit or visit for the first time in this case, opening weekend for Star Wars.
Okay.
I would like to be there to experience Star Wars for the first time on the big screen with other people who are experiencing Star Wars for the first time as well. I
Fun.
think that would be a nice communal experience that, and maybe the opening weekends, I mean, opening weekend is opening week, that's the
Yeah.
thing. But apparently the word of mouth, this thing grew throughout its theatrical release. But I would like the opening day, standing in line at a movie theater with a bunch of people, a bunch of strangers, sitting next to somebody. The floor's sticky because somebody spilled soda. There's still popcorn everywhere, but you get to watch Star Wars for the very first time with a bunch of people. That would be a pick that I would make.
When I might like even try and put myself into that shoe because I remember opening weekend. Speaking of MCU, watching Endgame,
Uh-huh.
around it like in a packed theater.
Mm-hmm.
All of the peaks and valleys of emotion.
Yep.
We were all equally excited or devastated for, and it was a very great, just like experience. It was much more than just watching the movie, just experience.
When
I have to
when
imagine.
Thor's hammer gets picked up and they show it's Captain America holding it, that's when the place blew up.
Well,
It was just,
everybody,
oh my god, and everybody knew it was happening.
everybody but me. I wanted to see. I never.
But we already teased that, and he was already dead by then. No, because you don't want real good things. All right, what's your next pick? You got number 2.
So, funnily enough, mine actually does involve Star Wars as well for number 2.
Oh, okay.
However, a little bit more of a divisive, controversial even
Okay.
pick. So, again, I fully understand and acknowledge that it isn't the most beloved
Right.
entry in the saga.
Uh-huh.
However, when we got that first trailer for Rise of Skywalker, and you could hear Darth Sidious saying one of his most iconic lines in the original trilogy. There are things, and I'm paraphrasing slightly.
Right.
There are things about the dark side of the Force that many would see as unnatural or something along those lines. But I got leapt out of my skin.
Yeah.
Up until I want to say the last 1 or 2 years, I would swear to you that Darth Sidious is the perfect movie villain. So to have such a beloved, awful character come back full circle, it didn't matter to me. That it really made no sense to me.
Mhm.
It did not matter to me that this kind of felt a little bit like a last ditch like effort to intrigue the fans that had dwindling interest in Star Wars. At that moment, it recaptured something that was lost in my early 20s that I had when I was a kid. It reinvigorated me in one of my past loves.
Okay. I won't say anything because
You
I
thought it
would
was
not
stupid.
revisit that at the moment. I Yeah, so I already knew what was happening before the trailer dropped, just because I know people and people talk, whether they admit it or not. And so yeah, the whole time I'm thinking like, no, no, that's stupid. No,
That's
no,
stupid.
you can't even pull that off.
Breaking my heart,
And
Joey
then
Mills.
the trailer, you hear the voice, and it's like, mother, they did. God,
See,
all
this is
right,
why we need to start doing trailer reactions,
yeah,
just so the folks at home can watch this, how different we are in pop
I'm all
culture.
for it. Yeah, let's do some trailer watching. All right, another pick of mine. I've got a couple here, but I'm gonna go with one that I did experience and would love to experience it again. So the Super Bowl, prior, all the way up from whenever it started to 1992, so January, February of 1992, the halftime show was just not what it is today, right? It's just a halftime show. But in 1992, that was the first time we saw other networks saying, hey, instead of watching this lame halftime show, come watch this. We're going to do a live, or we're going to do a pre recorded thing that's going to play during the halftime. And in 1992, the Super Bowl halftime was beaten in the ratings by I want to say it was live, but I can't remember exactly, by an episode of In Living Color with the Wayans
Oh,
and Jim
yes, yes,
Carrey.
yes.
So in 1993, the NFL said that can't happen again. And so in 1993, for the very first time, the NFL said, let's get somebody out here to perform at halftime, like a music act, like it's a concert, like it's not just cheerleaders kicking and bands playing. It's like an actual like event. And so for 1993, for that Super Bowl, first time they brought in a musical act, they booked Michael Jackson to play the halftime show.
Wow.
And this was in, I forget what stadium it was, but they had, like each corner of the stadium had pillars. So it must have been, I'm thinking like Miami. I could be wrong, but I think it's Miami. Anyway, so as they're like, hey, lights go down, pyro goes up, lights go up, Michael Jackson's gonna play. So like he comes up like through like the corner, like the big pillar, like,
Sure.
hey, there's Michael Jackson. And then they cut to this one and wait, he's over here now. Wait, he's over here. Wait, he's over. And then he comes up in
Whoa.
the middle of the field and he performs. And it's Michael Jackson in the early 90s, which is like not 80s Michael Jackson, but it's like that next step,
Kind of in between.
kind
Yeah.
of, yeah, kind of like almost I don't know if it's peak Michael Jackson, but it's right there in that same time frame. And so yeah, I would love to not just pull it up on YouTube and watch it again, but I would
Sure.
love for that experience of seeing that halftime show for the first time because it's all kinds of hype leading up to it. Nowadays it's like, hey, yeah, Kendrick Lamar's gonna play the halftime show. Cool, and
It's
you'll
what's
hear about it a time
expected.
or two,
Yeah.
but it's like, but this was the first time where like they were like building up to this, like, oh my God, Michael Jackson is gonna be playing at the Super Bowl. You're not just buying a ticket to the Super Bowl. You're buying a ticket to a Michael Jackson concert at the Super Bowl. It was
A two
mind
for
blowing.
one
Yeah.
almost.
And the performance was fantastic. I don't want to watch it again because I don't want to sully it in case
Sure.
it wasn't as what I remember it, but I would like to watch that again for the first time.
Well, my last one, for those of you who know me, this should come as no surprise. Let me set it up.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I was still working my job at the theater at the time,
Uh-huh.
and a coworker that I was relatively close with saw something on YouTube, and they knew that I would appreciate it, to say
Okay.
the least. So they primed it up. They didn't let me see the title of the video. Uh, they just hit play, and they said, "Hey, there's a video game." Okay. A little bit of background though with that. So the aforementioned PlayStation 2 story, I received two games
Okay.
when I got my first PlayStation 2. One was a PS2 game. It was a Mega Man game. It was like a Mega Man crossed with
Mega Man X or
Zero.
something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
something like which was fine. And then what was weird was I also received a PlayStation 1 game. These were separate. They weren't like in
Yeah.
a
Right. Yeah.
bundle or
Yeah.
anything. Um, Final Fantasy 7.
Okay.
and that is to this day my favorite video game of all time. So I'm sure you can see where this is going.
Yeah.
But the trailer plays, and I remember thinking to myself, like, ooh, okay, so like a futuristic industrial place. Yeah, that's uncharted territories for JRPGs.
Yeah.
Yawn. But then as it kept going, I started seeing
Start
more and more
recognizing some of the
familiar,
themes. Yeah.
familiar places. Like we saw the playground where the infamous
Yep.
uh, Aerith and Cloud scene. We saw Shinra, her electric company logo. But I was thinking like surely not.
Shinra Power and Light. That doesn't sound
Yeah,
nearly as
exactly.
menacing as
E-
Shinra Corporation.
exactly.
But
Uh,
yeah, it's just the power company.
yeah. So I'm like, surely. And then as it goes to a sweeping shot, you can hear the opening chimes, the opening bomb. I literally began to cry because I
That's
know it sounds silly,
that is so.
but this was a experience that I have been waiting for at that point damn near a decade, if not because Final Fantasy VII was there for me, not just for entertainment purposes, but it was there for like a difficult part of my life, and it meant a lot more to me than any video game ever had or ever will. So to see characters that I literally grew up with now in this fresh, fully HD, full visual like fidelity was just for some reason when I was not expecting it, just it hit me like a ton. And if I could go back and relive any pop culture moment, right then and there, I would change.
Did you play the remake and the rebirth and all
Oh
that?
yeah,
What did
absolutely
you
loved it.
think of those?
Absolutely loved it. Now I understand. I am about as biased of a party
Right,
as
right.
could possibly be in.
But
So
that's why I'm asking because you have such a fondness for the original to see the way, not the graphical overhaul, not the better audio, but like some of the gameplay elements, some of the story elements were different.
it was different.
Did that not upset? Did that at any point did it rankle you at all? Of like, this isn't
Funnily enough, I would have had every excuse to say yes, but no. All of the changes that they implemented, I was actually very excited to see. Okay, so what different? How are they going to tell the story differently
right.
while still remaining largely
True to
faithful
the
to
story,
the source
right?
material? And then the stuff they added onto it, I deeply appreciate because these are characters that I have experienced to death.
Mm-hmm.
I know every little intricacy about these characters, and you are going above and beyond and making me love these characters even more than I already did, which I didn't think was possible. I really appreciated all the things detail. The only thing that I would change, and honestly, I don't know if it's possible, have it on. Don't piece it out.
Yeah.
Like, don't make me buy three
Well,
separate games.
yeah, because that's what they're doing. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, you love this one game we sold you that was on 3 or 4 discs. Well,
Well,
how about we sell you 3 different versions of the
and
same friggin' game?
you know,
Chop it up.
I blame Hollywood. I blame the
Yeah.
like MCU slash Harry Potter slash Hobbit movies that found out that they could do that too. So like,
Yeah.
while I get it from a business standpoint, it's a little irritating, but overall, I guess I am just happy that a game that I love so much is getting so much attention that people can maybe love it just as much as I.
Okay. So my last pick, I've got a couple options here. I'll tell you what I'm not gonna go with. I had a fourth option that I was like, if he takes one of these, this will be my other one. But one option I'm not going to pick, my I guess a runner-up, an honorable mention, would have been 1964, the height of Beatlemania. The Beatles
Okay.
arrive in America for the first time. That would have been pretty cool to see. But here's one, also from 1993, coincidentally. Good year for pop culture. In 1993, summer of 93, I want to say like June, we used to have in our local mall, there was a arcade there called Aladdin's Castle.
Okay.
It was a franchise. They had
I've
them all
heard
over.
of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. That summer, there was a brand new game that they released, and Aladdin's Castle had a version, a copy of it, and it was right there. And it was one of those where you throw your quarters up on there to show that you've got the next game kind of thing, and the lines to do, and then just the people surrounding, watching two people playing, and there's just a mass of humanity around them watching. That was the release of Mortal Kombat 2.
yeah. Oh, okay.
Totally redefined what a arcade game. yeah, you can play it on a console. Not the same thing as playing it with all these people. It was the first time we got really good. Like, it was a really good fighting game that wasn't your run of the mill. Like, there were other fighting, but this one was just a step above. It was so scandalous because it has fatalities. There's blood. You could rip a spine out
Blood
of
and
a guy
guts.
if you knew how. So you would see people there just like pushing, and there'd be some guy, some know-it-all in the back, like down, down, and B. Come on, God.
Has these scenes just
Yeah,
like ingrained in his memory.
yeah, but yeah, that was such a phenomenon when that was released that I would love to go back with a pocket full of tokens to Aladdin's Castle in 1993 and re-experience that whole summer. Was the summer of Mortal Kombat, and so that was a high point in pop culture. I felt like it was like because that again changed what that experience could be. And then when it did come home on whatever console you had at the time, it was like, wow. Yes, there were other Pac-Man went from the arcade to home console. Great, super. But this was an arcade game that stood on its own as an arcade game. Now you could bring it home and play it. Still not the same thing as playing it in the arcade. You can play against your buddies or your siblings, whatever. But that arcade experience with Mortal Kombat 2 for me is like if you could bottle that and sell it, I think people would buy it. Just that
Constantly
experience of
selling.
like, wow, that's cool.
See,
See on the first time.
and it's certain stories like that make me almost envious
Mhm.
because like all of the ones that you had just said, I was not even born.
Yeah,
And so Mortal
all the
Kombat,
ones you said, I was born,
you were born,
and I
but you would
didn't,
not
and I
relive
did
them.
not pick them.
But so like Mortal Kombat 2 specifically, my first introduction to the series was Mortal Kombat 2.
Yeah, they
However,
expanded the roster. It was a better game. Yeah,
exactly. However, it was at one of those like kind of like plug and play like
yeah, yeah.
little consoles at a friend's house during a sleepover, which still we had fun with
Yeah.
it. It's a memory that I look back fondly, but it was nothing like being in a crowded arcade surrounded by people that are like cheering, jeering,
Yeah, and
and
if
just like
you
all the
won, you got
energy
to
of it,
keep playing, and if you lost, back of the line now.
which is where kind of the ending kind of ties in because so arcades specifically, I feel like I grew up in the era where arcades were falling out.
Yeah,
I never once had to wait in a line to play a game in an arcade because I mean I was one of like maybe 20 people there,
yeah.
and it kind of makes me not sad by any means, but it makes me a little bummed that that is
That you
something
missed that.
that I missed out by just a hit.
It used to be if you wanted to play video games, you had to leave the house to go to an arcade. If you wanted to play board games, tabletop games, D&D, you got all your friends and you stayed home. You went down in the basement or whatever, out of the parents' hair. You did your thing. Today, that's totally
There
you
you go.
stay home to play video games. And if you want to play with your friends, you play online. But if you want that communal feeling of
No
playing
funny.
a tabletop game, a D&D game, now they have stores just for like meta games or some of these other ones where you just come in and you can sit at a table and decide what you're playing with your friend. Yeah, we're gonna pick up our D&D campaign or whatever. You can still do it at home in the basement if you want to,
Sure.
but it's become more. I don't know if fashionable is the right word. There is a trend of more places popping up to play what was typically a play it at home thing out in a public setting. So
It's
it's
a
it's
fun
kind of it's weird to see that switch that has taken place.
it's a fun night out for people that aren't really accustomed to or want to like go to bars or
Yeah,
clubs
it's
or
something else to do
fancy
out with your
restaurants.
friends that's out of the house. But yeah,
Exactly. And like not one or the other is necessarily better.
right.
It's just I do find myself missing a little bit of the catharsis of like arcade days or doing board game nights at friends'
Yeah,
houses.
and that's another one where used to be you'd go to a friend's house and you could play Trivial Pursuit. Now every bar, every place has a trivia night type thing going on. So yeah, people have taken what used to be an in the house experience, whether it's video games, arcade games, tabletop games, trivia, whatever, and brought those out into the public because we missed them. People are capitalizing on the fact that you had this experience or you didn't have the experience that you would like to. So come here and do that. But at the same time, the stuff that was flashy, shiny, probably really expensive to buy and maintain, upkeep stuff, that stuff's all gone to your console. So you stay home and do that. But if you want to get together, you go out.
It's also just a little sad to see like arcades as a whole falling out of favor.
Oh yeah,
One at the mall up here in Springfield, no longer a thing.
yeah,
There was one in Ozark that I know was there for quite a while.
yeah.
They eventually went out of business as well.
Mhm.
So the only one that I can think of in the
84.
immediate area for us is 1984,
Yeah,
right
and they've
downtown
got a couple
Springfield.
of spots. Yeah, they got one in Branson as well, I
Oh,
believe.
do
But
they
yeah,
really?
yeah,
Well, good
but
for
yeah,
them.
but yeah, and it's become and that's the thing. It used to be that was popular. Like when arcade games were popular, like you would see on the news, they would be talking about, what's this new arcade game where people are pulling spines out? Look at all these degenerates lined up here, ruining our kids, blah blah blah. Now video games, whatever. So now you go and it's got to be like some kind of a niche specialty type place that like, hey, just pay us to come in the door and you play whatever the
Yeah,
hell you want in here,
which is kind of how
Yeah,
1984. I think it's more of a not necessarily a luxury product, but it's more of like an experience, not just like you're going to play video
yeah,
games.
yeah, exactly.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, if there was a pop culture moment that we didn't talk about that you would like to revisit, you know where to find us. Let us know on social media at PGTC
Yep.
Podcast.
We've actually got the pop quiz already posted and
Oh,
pinned
we
to those
really?
pages. So yeah, you can go in there and just comment with whatever moment you would like to.
There you go, guys. Go ahead and go and do it. Coming up this weekend in entertainment and pop culture, we've got MegaCon in Orlando. Florida kicked off on Thursday and runs through Sunday.
Yep.
Excuse me.
Big
Um,
show.
the massive show.
Really big
And
show.
MegaCon kind of makes sense.
Yeah. 130 to 150,000 people. Yeah.
Look at them.
Big show.
The new slasher film Hard Eyes is now theaters. I've seen like
Yeah.
trailers about this,
Yeah.
or no, not even a trailer, like little snippets in front of like YouTube
Yeah.
videos. Because I'm too cheap to pay for YouTube Red.
Yeah. I don't blame you. Is that even a thing anymore?
I think it's like some sort of premium. YouTube
Yeah. Yeah.
Premium, I think
Yeah.
is what they call it now. The Critics' Choice Awards air Friday night on E, so tonight.
Yep.
If you have cable or satellite or on Peacock, you can actually stream it. You know what? I have Peacock.
Do you now?
I'm not going to stream it, but
No, I'm not gonna watch it at
it's
all.
nice that I have nice that I have the ability to do so.
Good.
And then finally, of course, this Sunday is Super Bowl 59. You can watch the game between our very own Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles on Fox. Wasn't that the exact
You could
lineup
also watch it
last
on.
year?
I don't.
I know Kansas City Chiefs were
Yeah.
there. But I could have
Yeah.
swore
Yeah.
it was the Eagles.
Might have been. I don't know.
Huh.
I don't watch football. I don't care. But I know you can watch it on Tubi for free as well.
Hey,
So if you have poor reception,
I
I
guess.
guess, so you
Like,
can't get Fox, you
look
can
at
watch it on
Tubi
Tubi.
making moves.
You have to like register for an account, which is free. You don't have to pay anything. You can watch the Super Bowl.
Well, next weekend you can find us both
Oh, yes, you can.
at Missouri Comic Con. Now,
Oh boy.
ladies and gentlemen, a little bit of we can give you guys kind of a look into, coming from our background experience with it. Some advice. I would recommend getting
Get
your
your tickets now.
ASAP.
If you still can, they may be
I was about to say, if possible, grab them ASAP. I remember lines all throughout the parking lot, almost all throughout the like across the building.
downtown Springfield.
I would also recommend, kind of as we alluded to a little earlier, it is going to be cold, likely, and the this convention center is a little unique in the fact that most of, if not all of the vendors are going to be held in the main
So yeah, the
convention
way it
center.
works. So this is the third year of Missouri Comic Con. The first year, everything was at the Expo Center, which is where everybody has these events. It was a little big, a little packed for that facility. So last year, the vendors, your celebrity guests, photo ops, all your community groups like the Ghostbusters group, there'll be an arcade. All of that stuff is still at the Expo Center, just like it was last year. But all the programming is going to take place across the street at the convention center. What's the difference between the Expo Center and the convention center? The convention center, if you're local, is where you had prom. I guarantee you. I don't know when you
9 times out of
graduated.
10,
I don't
you're
know
like,
when you graduated or what school you graduated from, but if you're local to the area and you went to high school here, you had prom at the convention center. And actually, it's so big that registration takes place at the University Plaza Hotel because there's no other room. So you'll park at the parking garage, you'll park in wherever you can find parking. You'll go to the University Plaza Hotel, go through registration, you'll get your wristband. If you buy your tickets online, you'll show them the QR code, you get your wristband, and then there will be people there to help funnel you across the street to the Expo Center. The Expo Center opens at 10 a.m. on Saturday, 11 on Sunday, and then an hour after the floor opens over at the Expo Center, the programming starts at the convention center where you and I will be the entire week. Like if somebody's looking for us, come find us at the convention center.
and so when we say programming, we mean,
all the Q and
celebrity
A.
interviews, the cosplay contest, fan panels, all of the engaging content that you can expect from Comic Con are going to be held there. So, as far as parking is concerned, because I know that that
Do
was a
your
little,
best.
do your best. If you want to be close to the convention center, unfortunately, you are going to have to pay some money.
Yeah.
Nothing too crazy, about $5 to $10. Or if you want to try your luck, there are plenty of street parking downtown
Mm,
in certain areas.
yeah.
So I would really highly encourage you to do two things to prep. Number one, grab your tickets. Number two, do some research. If you don't want to pay for parking, try and drive around downtown Springfield. Find a spot that would work with you, and maybe find two or three other ones just in case that one.
I'm
Otherwise, though, it's gonna be a huge show. We've got Will Wheaton, we've got Christina V, Jeremy Lee, Chris Sarandon, plenty of other great celebrity guests.
So I was looking online to see
Okay.
in the last 2 years that we've had this event, there has been, I don't want to call it an issue, but there has been some tension in that area because the Shrine Circus is always that same weekend.
Right.
So this year we are a week later than we have been. It has been on Super Bowl weekend the last couple of years. Don't know what that means for the Chiefs this year. Last 2 years we had it on Super Bowl weekend and the Chiefs won the Super Bowl. So
Might be a
if
superstition.
if they if the Chiefs lose the Super Bowl this
It's our
year,
fault.
you'll know why. Apparently, apparently we weren't the only ones with the same thought. Looks like the circus has moved to
Yeah.
March.
Oh,
So
okay, okay, all right.
so yeah, that should not be an issue this year. There should not be any issues with the circus um, being at the same time, literally at the same time as the Comic Con. So that's good. They moved to a totally different month. We just moved a week.
We did the path of least resistance.
Yes,
So again, guys, if you're interested in coming out, we highly encourage you grab your tickets now, and it's gonna be
a
one
lot of
heck of a
fun.
week.
I was trying to think. You were talking about. So I know we have Christina V. We have Will Wheaton. Said Jason Mewes from Jay and Silent Bob, the Kevin Smith stuff.
Chris
Uh,
Sarandon,
Chris
Nightmare Before
Sarandon.
Christmas,
Yep. We have John Schneider from Dukes of Hazzard. Spencer Charnas will be there.
Iceman Kills,
Yep. We have Keith David, who's been a ton of stuff, both live action and voice acting. Rose McGowan and Holly Marie Combs from Charmed. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. I know we have DJ Lance from Yo Gabba
so
Gabba.
excited.
I mean, come on. Nick Castle, the original, The Shape. He wasn't even Michael Myers at the time. The Shape from the original Halloween film. I mean, it's a huge lineup. It's gonna be a busy weekend. We've got WWE Hall of Famers, Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler, who were for at least one, if not 2 decades, the voice of the WWE. They're going to be there. We'll have a Q and A with them, talk about wrestling stuff. So
And of course, the man himself, Jeff Hardy.
Jeff Hardy's going to be there. So I'm not sure what we're going to do if he's going to be there for JR and Lawler's panel. But even if he's not, I don't know if he is or not. If not, he's doing so. We do the costume contest is like the last thing we do as part of the convention
For
official.
Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday. That's 5 to 6 p.m. Five to six ish. It usually runs a little long, especially at a big show like this. There's gonna be a lot of people participating. But then at 7, so the convention's over. But at 7, on the main stage at the prom hall at the convention center, yeah, Jeff Hardy's gonna do a little concert. Gonna be telling stories. And that's gonna go for an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours of just hanging out, kind of a chill, laid back experience. Like I said, he's bringing his guitar. We've got microphones. He's just gonna play some music and tell stories and laugh and have a good time. So that is a separate ticketed event. Um, but you can get tickets for that again through the Missouri Comic Con website, Facebook pages, all that stuff as well. So yeah, it's gonna be a good weekend. It's gonna be busy,
It'll be a busy weekend
busy,
for
busy
sure.
weekend, but it's gonna be a lot of fun. And it's nice to be able to have something like this in spring.
So on that, guys, if you have any ideas about what you would like to hear from us next, please reach out to us at PGC PGTC podcast.
That's right.
Podcast on any of our social media platforms, as well as you can also directly email us at joey@popgoestheculture.com
Or Zach.
or Zach at popgoes.
And one of the things I want to mention before we get out of here, I know we're going long today. We're long-winded. Um, so we've redone the website. It looks similar, but it's a little different in functionality. Um, but there's just the two of us now, and honestly, I don't have time with everything we've talked about. Don't have a whole lot of time to spend writing articles for the website, right? However, I know there are people listening who have written articles for popgoestheculture.com before. I know there are people that we've worked with in the convention space and doing other things that have written things or have a take on stuff going on in entertainment pop culture. The reason I'm bringing all this up is because with that website there, we are looking for people who might be interested in contributing to that website in any way, shape, or form. It might be, hey, I watched this movie and I feel like I got to talk about it. Maybe you talk about it on a YouTube channel, your own YouTube channel, or on ours, and we can post that on the website. So more eyes are seeing that. Maybe you have an article you want to write up. Maybe you have a list of the top 10 Nintendo Switch games that aren't these that you should buy. I don't know, whatever it is. If you have a take on anything entertainment pop culture related, want to get that out in front of the world, the website's there. We're not really using it too much because we're too busy. So we are opening up. It's our sandbox. We're letting anybody bring their toys and come play in it, basically. So if that's something that might be of interest to you, either now or maybe down the road a ways, hit us up. Again, email us, Joey at popgoestheculture.com, Zach at popgoestheculture.com. You can DM the page on Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff,
A lot
whatever.
of ways to get a hold of us.
Let us know if you're interested, and we can get you set up right now because it's brand spanking new. It is not monetized, meaning there's not ads there, so you don't have to worry about that. But also, we're not generating revenue. So if you're interested in this, it would be like a hobby type thing. It'd be like an on your own. There's no like deadlines, like oh my god, you've got to every Monday you've got to have in a 500 word. It's not that. There's no pressure with it. If you have a take and you want to write about it, hit us up. We'll get you credentials to log in, post it, and it'll be on the website. And until we do get monetized, which requires, because we're starting fresh, you got to build back to that. At some point, yeah, we'd love to have it monetized, and whatever money we make, we just split it up among everybody who's contributed that month. And hey, here's a little bit of money. Thanks for your time. But it's more of a hobby right now. It's more of a labor of love. Like it's something I'm
Sure.
passionate about. I want to talk about this thing. You've got a platform now.
Also a perfect introduction to content creation.
Yeah.
If you would like to be a pop culture news journalist,
Yeah.
or
And
again, like a content creator who's wanting to get their content a little bit more out there and their opinions and like backwards about that, perfect opportunity to do so.
We've had people who have used our website in the past, not the new one, in the past to get jobs writing paid content for other websites. So that's the thing. We have people that have, used it for all number of things to help get their portfolio built in a way, so they can go to other outlets and be like, yeah, I write for this website. Check out some of the articles I've written. Cool, right on. Use us however you need to. That it's there if you want to use it. So it's a tool that's out there. I'm not saying we have to have so many people or else we're going to get. No, it's there. It's available if you're interested. Check it out. Popgoestheculture.com. If you want to post any kind of content there, just let us know, and we will get you set up with that. And we'll show you. We'll walk you through how it all works. It's really, really, really simple. Made it as simple as possible.
We'll be happy to have you.
Absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think that about rounds it up.
By God, it's
this
about
podcast.
time.
Guys, make sure to check us out on all of our social media platforms, as well as look back onto our YouTube channel and your favorite podcast streaming platform for previous episodes. Fun little things. Speaking of the podcast,
Ooh,
if you are an
bonus.
audio listener, tell me.
Bonus. If you're listening to the audio, stick around. We got it's a short panel because she had a long line. It took her a minute to get to the table. And it was on a Sunday, so we wanted to get her back to her table so she could still meet with everybody. Actually, no, I think she actually flew out as soon as it was over. Anyway, we have from Little Rock Anime Fest, we have a Q&A, short Q&A with voice actress Brittany Karbowski.
So, awesome.
Yeah, so and she's a lot of fun, a lot of energy. Um, so we did a new thing this last convention. So when we hit 5 minutes left and there's still a line of people, what do? You can't get through everybody, right? We figured out how to get through everybody.
Kali Ma.
Nope. Here's what you do. You have to ask your question in a single word, and the person has to answer your question with a single word. So think about what your question might be. What's the one word you can say that maybe gets across what your question was to that celebrity sitting on the stage, and they will give you back a one-word answer.
Pants.
We had a number of wild and crazy questions and answers doing that. I don't think hers was too wild. It's kind of
a little more tame.
Yeah, but
some of the
we
others.
had some that were just like whatever. It'd be a word, and the guest would be like, I don't. And I'd be, no. You can't stammer around. You can't ask for clarification. You can only answer in one word. Yeah. So get one word answer.
Join us. You better what you do.
We try.
Make sure to check that out at the end of this episode. But guys, until next time, like Joey always says, be happy, be healthy, and always remember that life's better when your friends share.
That's right.
We'll
See
talk to
ya.
you later.
Goodbye, live stream. We hope it worked.